Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today our lesson is going to be all about email marketing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a bit of the theory, and then I'm going to walk you through MailChimp, which was one of the most common email marketing softwares used by companies so that you know how to use it. So let's start right at the beginning. What is email marketing? So email marketing is a highly effective digital marketing strategy of sending emails and prospects, sending emails to prospects and customers. Effective marketing emails convert prospects into customers and turn one-time buyers into loyal, raving fans. So when we talk about email marketing, this is about having a proper strategy. It's not just about sending a one-off newsletter every 6 months. It's about sending lots of different types of emails, which we're going to cover in a minute, to your prospects. So why is email marketing so important? Lots of people tend to see email marketing as a bit spammy and a bit annoying because, we all get those emails in our inbox and we don't always open them all. But surprisingly, it's actually one of the most successful digital marketing channels out there. So it's not something that you should really ignore. So looking at some statistics, at least 99% of consumers check their email on a daily basis. When we look at social media, lots of people think that social media is a really good platform for having your business. And lots of companies, especially small companies, they don't even have a website, they just have a Facebook page. The problem with this is Facebook owns all your media, it owns all your likes, and it could delete your page with no warning if it saw fit. So building a Facebook presence or a social media presence and not building on anything else is actually really dangerous because at a flick of a switch, you could lose that all almost instantly. So if you take a look at email marketing over social media marketing, at least you own your email list. So it's all your data and you don't have to worry about somebody just flicking the switch and turning it all off. When it comes to ROI and that kind of thing, people who buy products marketed through email actually spend 138% more than those who do not receive email offers. And email marketing actually has an ROI of 4,400%. So it really works and is a great channel to use. One thing that came in last year was GDPR. And that scared people when it came to email marketing because email marketing is something that was directly affected by these regulations. Now, if you're working for a company outside of Europe, it's really important to remember that everybody has to follow GDPR if you're dealing with the data of European citizens. So if you're based in America, Africa, China, anywhere across the globe, and if you're dealing with some with data of people who live in France, Germany, Romania, you have to be GDPR compliant. So it's really important that you take notice of these rules. Luckily, they're not actually as scary as people first made out last year when it was coming into force. It basically means that you have to follow proper ethical email marketing practices. That's not a bad thing. So just to go over it, as a marketer, as I just said, don't look at the limitations of GDPR as restrictions, but use them more as guidelines that can be used to shape more profitable uses of email marketing in the EU. So think of it as a benefit rather than a negative, that you have to do things right, and your consumers will be thankful that you're doing things right, and therefore you'll increase your sales. One critical component of GDPR is that it outlines clear and distinct rules for the use of personal data and how it's collected. As long as your email forms are equipped with the clearly defined requests for consent and the use of customer data, you can totally remain GDPR compliant. So how do you be GDPR compliant in your email marketing? So, before these rules came in, when you signed up for a new service or when you bought a product, you had to opt out of email marketing campaigns. Um, with GDPR, companies are no longer allowed to do that. You have to opt in. So when you're signing up for a product, you have to say that you agree and you opt into email marketing campaigns rather than opting out. You also have to have a system in place to prove that you got consent. So, say somebody downloads your ebook. If you have everything like that in your privacy policy, you can use that as consent as they've showed interest in your product and services. And that is called informed consent, if I remember correctly. So whenever you get somebody's email address, make sure that in your system, in your email marketing spreadsheet, you put how you got consent so that you can prove it if you're ever audited. And also make sure that you have a thorough system in place where people can ask for their personal information to be removed, and so that they can unsubscribe from your emails, and you will be absolutely fine. Also, when it comes to GDPR, make sure that you have a privacy policy in place and you're following all of those regulations. But your company's legal team and everything should make sure that those are all set up okay for you. Anyway, back to email marketing. So, how do you get started and how do you grow your email list? Um, Growing your email list is a really important first step of email marketing, because if you don't have a good email list of people that you can email, what's the point in doing it? So there's a number of different ways that you can do this. First of all, you can start with lead magnets. So this is how you tempt people to give you their email address by offering something in return. So this could be a free download of an ebook, free access to resources, white papers, free trials for a product, and free consultations, etc. So if you nobody's going to give you their email address if they're not getting anything in return. So when it comes to making good lead magnets, you have to make sure that they add value, they're available right now, because normally when people are searching for a service, they want something right now. Consumers are really impatient and they're not going to wait a week for their ebook to be delivered. They'll lose interest or forget about you. So make sure you have it available straight away. Make sure that the data's or whatever you're giving away is easily consumed. If you're giving away a 300-page book on legal jargon, nobody's going to be interested. No one's going to do it. But if you're giving away something like a resource sheet or whatever, then it's going to be popular. Make sure also that it's actionable. So if you get somebody to sign up for a free trial, you actually give them their free trial. Otherwise, it's not fair. So when you're writing opt-in forms, apologies for the typo there, there are a couple of things that you can do to make them more successful. You need to keep them simple so that everybody can understand them. You need to have an enticing headline so that it catches people's attention. It needs to have an informative description to let people know kind of why you're getting that email address and what this is all about, and have a compelling subscribe button. You can do this by having a different color subscribe button to the text, just so that it stands out and people know exactly where to go. As I've mentioned before, people are lazy. They need spoon feeding when it comes to marketing. And make sure it's in the right place. So when you're placing a call to action on your website, there are a few places that you can put it which are more proven to be more successful than others. So you can have these in your blog posts, in headers, in sidebars, using timed pop-ups, about pages, and resource pages. One important thing to remember is that if you're using pop-ups, try not to make them really annoying and pop up all the time or disturb them from what they're doing on your website. because that will backfire and people just won't fill in. They'll close it straight away and get annoyed. Now, this point is super important. Lots of companies buy email lists. Don't you trigger spam filters? It's against GDPR. There's just everything wrong with buying email lists. So don't ever do it. So when it comes to email marketing, you can't really be expected to send out emails to every single person individually. That's just silly and wastes a lot of time. And also when you're using something like Gmail, you can't make pretty compelling emails with pictures of products in very easily. It's also difficult to manage your data when you're doing it in spreadsheets. So make sure that you use an email marketing service that can do everything for you. And then when people unsubscribe, it automatically updates your data list and everything. So here's some of the most common email marketing softwares that you can use. There's MailChimp, Constant Contact, Drip. HubSpot also has those features too. But there are plenty of them. So when you're going to choose, take a look around, do some shopping, see which one you like and which one has your features, and then go from there. Quite a lot of them have freemium models, a bit like MailChimp. So they're free to start off with, so you can play around, get used to them, and then you only have to pay for them if you get lots of subscribers. So here's some email marketing best practices which will help you get on your way when it comes to writing good email copy and everything. So first of all, you have to segment your data. What I mean by data segmentation is all of your leads you have to separate into different classes. So say you are a company that sells women's clothes. You're not going to send everybody the same email newsletter because some people might be interested in shoes, some people might be interested in jackets. So you're going to segment these leads into the things that they're interested in. Maybe women's clothes probably wasn't the best because that's a pretty general topic and you can send everybody who's interested in women's clothes everything. But say you're a clothing shop that does clothes for everybody, you're not going to send emails out to women with special offers on clothes for men for over 50s, are you? Because they're not going to buy and they're probably not interested in that. When it comes to B2B, say you have a translation agency, you won't send emails to interpreting clients you won't send emails about translation to interpreting clients. You'll make them all about interpreting. This just makes it more relevant. It makes people engage with it more and it makes it more useful. So always segment your data. You can do this by new subscribers, preferences, interest, location. Language is a really important one if you're dealing with people in different countries. You can do it based on the type of lead magnet they downloaded. So if they downloaded an ebook about accounting, you can target them with emails about accounting best practices. And say they downloaded a book on business development, then you can send them emails about sales, for example. You can also segment whether customers are new or existing customers, as lots of different people are in different stages in the buyer journey. You need to make sure that your email campaigns reflect where they are right now. Next, make sure that you avoid spam filters. This isn't always possible, but there are some tips that you can do to kind of give your emails the best shot of getting read. So to avoid spam filters, don't buy email lists. Make sure everybody's subscribed to the emails. Send your emails through verified domains. Make sure they're sent from a good IP address. Keep your email code clean. Don't use deceptive and spammy subject lines, and include an easy opt-out so that if people are no longer interested or they signed up by accident, they can sign out. They can opt out quickly and easily without reporting you or marking your emails as spam or such. Next, make sure that you remove inactive subscribers and research timing. So first of all, work on your data to make sure that email addresses remain relevant. People who were interested in your product 10 years ago who haven't interacted with you since is a bit silly still sending them emails, and you're likely to annoy them and actually damage your brand's reputation that way. So just make sure everything's relevant. Also, you can clean out old email addresses if people don't work. If you're doing B2B email marketing and somebody has left the company, don't send email campaigns to their email address anymore. That's just pointless. Make sure that you go through and clean everything out. And also, make sure you send your emails at the right time of day. You can take a look online for statistics of when to send them out. This varies vastly depending on the industry, if you're trying to target people for B2B or B2C. And also just be sensible. Don't send work emails out on a Sunday afternoon when people are going to be with their families, because again, you'll just annoy them. Don't send out emails on Christmas Day. Just be respectful to people's private lives as well. And one last tip I've got is A/B testing. Softwares like MailChimp allow you to A/B test email, so you can try 2 different subject lines and then go out with the most popular subject line. So make sure that you're A/B testing your copy and then you go out with the most successful one, because what you may think works may not work in the eyes of the consumer. So how do you write good email copy? First of all, you need to start with the subject line, as this is going to be what entices people to actually open their emails. You need to be careful with this one, because you need to kind of walk a fine line between enticing curiosity and being spammy. Don't be spammy. Try not to make it look like a newsletter or chain email, because otherwise people won't open it. People have got very good at becoming kind of allergic to these kind of email campaigns. So do play around and do be careful. Also, speak in a friendly and conversational tone, as if you're speaking to the subscribers themselves. That'll help you relate to them. When you're writing your copy, it's really easy, especially when you're writing in languages where you have differences between you plural and you singular, a bit like in French when you have tu and vous. Write as if you're writing to one person rather than the masses you're about to email, because people want to be referred to in a personal way, and you have to get a personal relationship with them. However, it is really important that you kind of follow country regulations if you're dealing with international audiences, because some countries might find it rude if you refer to them as one type of you. So you do have to take that bit of advice that I've just given you with a pinch of salt. Write like a friend and add humor. When you're writing emails, try and make sure that you add a bit of personality to them. People get so many emails sent to them that they're only going to open the funny ones. You need to make sure that they kind of stand out and that people enjoy reading your emails. And finally, make sure that you optimize for mobile. If you're using an email software provider a bit like MailChimp, it's kind of done automatically. But if your software doesn't have that option, make sure that your emails show up on mobile, because that's where lots of people read their emails from. So when you're doing email marketing, it's important that you measure the success of your emails. As with digital marketing, if you're not measuring the success of it, people probably don't think that you're doing anything, unfortunately. So the good ones to measure are the spam rate, so how many end up in spam, the open rate, the click through rate, and unsubscribe rate. The click rate is normally when you send out an email, you have links to your website so that people go from the email to your website where they could buy your products. So that's how many people actually take that action when they're on your emails. And well, this kind of varies very much by industry. Here's some averages so that you can know what you're kind of looking out for. So the average email open rate should be between 15 and 25%. The average click-through rate should be about 2.5%. And your average click-to-open rate should be 20 to 30%. So, yep, that's what you should be looking out for. So that's the end of the theory kind of part. Now what I'm going to do is take you for a look through MailChimp, which is one of the email service providers that we use. So with MailChimp, when you come in, you get taken to a little dashboard like this, which has all of your demographics and reporting and things on it. So when you start, what you need to do is you need an audience. You need to add contacts. You need to manage contacts and make sure that you have all of your leads in here. So what you need to do is you can add subscribers, import contacts. You could create sign-up forms, manage your contacts, and view everybody. So what I'm going to show you now is how to import some contacts. So click on that. The easiest way to do it is either upload an Excel file or copy and paste. I will quickly show copy and paste. I don't actually have any data because I can't show you anything. So this is where you could copy and paste these different things from an Excel file if you set it out like this. So let's put in a couple of things. So there's info@test.com. First name is test, last name is testing, and then you can go and keep on going like that. You click agree, continue to match. And here you need to put in if it's an email address, if it's a name, if it's a last name. So here it realized that the email address, that this one here was email addresses. Here you can make a selection, so you can put first name, save, and this one, last name, save. Continue to organize. So what you can do is you can create tags so that you can segment your contacts like we talked about earlier. So these are going to be prospects. So let's put them in like that. Continue to review and import. And they have been added. This is an already made audience list, but we can go back and do that later. So just to give you an idea of the sort of things that you can segment, we have segmented some of our contacts. So we can have a look here. This is from a Chamber of Commerce. This is from a conference. This is from Ticket Buyers Conference. This is from another Chamber of Commerce. And that way we can, this is clients, this is newsletter. This way we can actually send campaigns to different people. Right. So once you've played around with your audience, next it's time to actually create some campaigns. So here you can see that this email that we made went on the 21st of November to a group of contacts called LSPs. The opens were 82. We had 21 clicks, and that in percent is 38.5 and 9.9. That's above average for what we talked about earlier. Remember, we talked about that the open rate should be between 15 and 25%. We had 38.5, and click-through rate is 9%, and the average is 2.5, so that was a success. You can have a look here, and you can have a look at reports. I have to be careful what I show you because these are people's actual email addresses. So here it talks about how many opened, how many bounced, how many unsubscribed, and things like that. And you can look at the performance of the email, so how many people opened it over a certain period of time, the top links that people clicked on, and you can have a look at the number of times that people opened an email. Sometimes we have people who open emails like 22 times. So that way you can go and get into contact with them or give that email address to your sales team and say, hey, I think this person's actually interested. And that way you can sell to them as well, which is pretty cool. Anyway, back to campaigns. How do we create an email? With MailChimp, you can make emails that look really pretty. So let me show you what they look like. I think I can show. Let's go into here. So let's create a campaign name called test and begin. This is where you add recipients. I'm not going to add that right now. Look, you can choose all the different audience from all of your different segmentations. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to send this email to any of our contacts. Here you can add who it's from. So make sure that it's from a good email address in your domain. So I can put it from my name. I am not having a good typing day today. And press save. That is why when people actually email back, they can email back direct to me, and I can see people's replies. Subject matter, this is where you put the subject in. This is where you put a preview text so that appears in the inbox after the subject line. So we can do something like it. Get 50% off your next travel ticket. Offer valid until Friday. This is just a really quick example. Make sure that you put more time and effort into your copy. And then you can go in and design your emails. Now, here's where you can actually choose what layout you would like. You can have all of these different ones, which the dark squares are pictures. I would always recommend going for something with pictures rather than simple text, because otherwise it's going to look ugly. So this is where you design your email. So here you can put your logo, or you can actually delete that and put in a picture. So it's pretty easy just to do it. So I am going to use some of the pictures that we've got on here because it's easier, and it will save time. So here you go. Here's our doggy Bobby, offering free digital marketing audits for DLR Chamber members. This is where you put your copy here. I am not going to type out a whole email. Make sure your copy is good and you've thought about what you're offering. And then most importantly, you can break it up into sections. You can have another picture in here if you wanted to, or let's go straight to a button, which is a call to action. So you could put get your free audit now, link to a website address. Again, I've just made this up. But what you should always do is you should have a particular landing page in mind where you want to direct people to, and then you can use analytics to find out where people came from to get there. You can play around with the style. You can round the corners. Here's our old branding. That's our main color, so we've just put it in the right color. You can make it bigger so that it stands out. And that is that. Here you can add your social network buttons. And then once you're done, what you can do is you can preview, that is the wrong button. You can enter preview mode so you can see what it's going to look like when it opens in your browser. And most importantly, you can send a test email. Always make sure that you send a test email because that way you'll get to see what it's like. You'll get to see if anything looks a bit bad when you open it in your browser, and just give it a double check for last minute typos and stuff. So make sure you do that. And then when you are ready, press save and close, continue. That'll save everything. And then finally, once you've added the recipients, you can actually go in and press send, and then everything will get sent out. So when it comes to email marketing, make sure that you don't send emails too often. If you're emailing everybody every day, they're going to get really annoyed. So make sure you do it kind of every couple of weeks so that it's often enough that people don't forget you, but it's not too often that people get sick of you. Also, make sure that you have a clear, thought-out strategy in place so that email fits in with your digital marketing strategy as a whole and complements what you're doing on Facebook, what you're doing on SEO, what you're doing with your blogs, etc. And if you don't have a special offer, don't worry. What you need to do is try and put together something that kind of gives pointers, so you can do a blog post on how to save money on your international marketing or how to do it right, and put that in there and then send it out to everyone. Just one important thing to remember is don't be one of those companies that kind of just sends out a newsletter for the sake of it and writes, today we had tea, yesterday we went for pizza, like nobody cares. Make sure you're adding value and you're talking about the client's needs rather than what you do and what you've been up to. So I think that is everything when it comes to email marketing. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I will be happy to help with that. And if you have any questions, just let me know.